Yo, good evening and welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal Team Talk. I'm your host, Dan Potts, and tonight I am joined by my good man, Kenny Ken. Kenny, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Where's Kevin? Where's Robbie? Where's Sophie? Oh, yeah, by the way, I just want to say one thing, right? Someone has kindly offered to pay for my Wi-Fi, my broadband. So what I'm going to do is at the end of the show, I'm going to provide you with my PayPal details, and you can pass it on to that person. I think that person's a bit too busy at the moment because I think that person's interviewing Steve Nicol, the Liverpool legend, and rather than talk about how Liverpool are doing in the league, I think that person wants to ask them whether Arteta's the right man for the job and talk about Arsenal manners. I know it's a bit. I know we play in red, so I can understand why Steve Nicol will go on an Arsenal show, but that person's too busy to pay for my broadband. We're going to talk about the Arsenal. Get in.
We are, mate. We are. And it's good to have you with me, man. We are expecting Manny, but Manny's had some dentist problems today, so I believe. So he may
DIY. I
be a little
told
bit
you
late.
not to do DIY. They said on This Morning yesterday, don't do it yourself. Expert dentist said, wait. You know, they're now seeing people. I know it was an emergency, but if you do it yourself, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have
This
to
is
get
it,
the
mate.
dentist to sort it out.
If you get your Black and Decker out, mate, then this is what happens.
Fresh start, yeah.
This is what happens. Thank you to everyone for joining us already in the chat. I hope you're all good. And I hope you're looking forward to a good weekend. Ken, I want to talk to you about Arsenal because the last time we spoke, you said there was no style, there's no clear understanding of what's happening. And I was with you. But I tell you what, the last 3 games, I've started to understand where we're going with this team. And the reason I say that is because against Southampton United and against Wolves in the first half, I saw some high press. Passing out from the back. I saw some passing in triangles. And it's the first time under this manager that I have actually been excited to watch us play football. And people might think that's harsh. People might think that I've been too pessimistic. And I've got a lot of stick for being negative over the last few months, really, under this manager. But I can only go on what I'm seeing. I don't want to talk about what we might be in the future. I can only talk about what we are now. And I've seen this for the last 3 games. And I think to myself, do you know what? I'm okay with what I'm seeing. How have you been making it the last couple of games, Ken?
Well, last couple of games, I think what's happened right now is that I think the manager's learning the job. He's looked at Nicola Pepe and finally said, you know what? The lad is not overcomplicating how he plays. When he plays on the left hand, on the right hand side, he overcomplicates it. Or sometimes when he comes to the pitch, he tries to overcomplicate because he feels he has to do something because he won't get the ball maybe for another 10, 15 minutes. But when he plays on the left hand side, especially on Tuesday and the game against Southampton as well, it gives us that sort of balance to the team and balance to the front three. You know what I mean? It's not all Saka. It's Pepe as well. And they can interchange as well. So in that respect, it's pace. I don't care what anyone says. If you've got skillful players at pace and they run at you, you're going to murder teams. And then when you've got someone who can actually pass the ball properly and change the tempo of the way we play, for instance, you know, like the continental way, slow, quick, slow, and then quick again in the last third. That's what Smith Rowe's given us as well. So how we played against Wolves, best first half I've seen for a long time. Very pleased. Everything I like about football. Attacking, you attacking threes. You put the defences under pressure, you get in behind them. That's why we got a goal disallowed by Saka had maybe a chance after when Pepe scored his goal. Get in behind defenders. That's what you'd have to do. But also, when we didn't have the ball, we know Wolves love to play the same way as us, i.e. they use their pace. They haven't got the sort of hold-up play of Jimenez, but they like to play on the wings as well. But what we did really well, first thing we did, stop the out ball, made it very difficult. And also, Bellerin and Cedric held their own when Podence and Neto were trying to, get those crosses in. We weren't allowing that to happen. So overall, a great performance, and that's what saw against Southampton. Against Man United, I think we paid Man United a bit too much respect, if you're asking me, and rightly so because of Man United's phenomenal away record and because they've got some really good footballers at the team. But then again, Man United paid us too much respect because they remembered what happened at Old Trafford when we crushed their style. We sat on Fernandes, and we also made Pogba do something he didn't want to do. He doesn't like tracking back. So whenever we got the ball in a turnover at Old Trafford, we were at them in waves and attacks. They didn't want it to happen again, so it was a case of cancelling each other out, and any little chance each side got, then they were taking it. So it wasn't. It's different, but I think what's happening, it's all about the thinking game. And even when we went down to 9 men, it's all about keeping compact. Wolves assisted us as well, because what Wolves did as well, they thought, you know what, we've had a few bad results, so let's just get these results. Let's go to the bank. Let's put this 2-1 in the safe, and let's all roads lead to Saturday. So it's one of those things where the team is playing well. I'm not going to say it's got an identity, but I'm seeing less square pegs around holes. And that's why later in the show, when we have our Villa man in and we talk about Arsenal's team selection, all I'm going to say to you for future reference in terms of the show, you can only have three players in your front three. You can't have four. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And we are going to go into that. But one player I do want to mention before we go into it, Ken, is everyone talks about Saka. Everyone's talking about Smith Rowe. Of course, they've infused the team and they've brought on the likes of Laka and Pepe, to be fair, like you mentioned. But one player that is definitely head and shoulders above anybody on that pitch in an Arsenal shirt is Thomas Partey. I'm looking at his range of passing. I'm looking at the balance in midfield. I'm looking at how he can give us that transition. What have you made of him? He's been absolutely superb, hasn't he?
Well, I think what's happened is that English football's like the biggest equaliser for any footballer. You know, you look at the great players who've played English football. There's no doubt that Cristiano Ronaldo's benefited and gone on to be the best player in the world because of the years he had at Man United, because of the physicality and the demands of the game, and he's taken that sort of fitness into the La Liga and into Serie A. In terms of Thomas Partey, it's going to take time for Thomas, because you're going to see inconsistent performances. Like, we had a fantastic performance against Southampton, very good one against Wolves, brilliant one if you ask me in that first half. But against Man United, there were times when Thomas struggled. You know what I mean? And that's where you're going to see a lot of it. You're not going to see the best of Thomas until he's finally in tune mentally and physically into the team. But from what we're seeing now, we've always wanted a complete midfielder, and Thomas give us that. And, he's brought the best out of Granit as well. Whether you think Granit's going to be a long-term prospect or not, I still think we need a lot of energy alongside Thomas in order to get the best out of him. Because I want us to be able to not just dominate midfields occasionally. I want to be in a situation where we can actually go to a top six side and say, right, this is it. This is what you got to go through. But also, when we win that ball, we're going that way. See if you can stop us. And I think that's where Thomas is the sort of midfielder we're looking for. But performance, first 45, couldn't fault it. You really couldn't fault it. He definitely gives us. He's definitely. I don't think he's the brain of the side yet, but because I still see him as a sort of a player who's more of a wrecker and a disruptor rather than someone who can construct. Obviously, you look at the long passes, and they're very accurate and blah blah. But he has been playing in Spanish football where you have to be good technically to survive in that league. And I'm not saying Lucas Torreira isn't good technically, but you see what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I do.
We've got someone who's playing under a great manager and playing in a great league, so we expect that. But I think there's more to come from Thomas.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what I've seen so far from Thomas Partey has kind of really pleased me, but he's still not even 100% fit. So how good can he be when he gets that running games and gets that balancing? I've been watching a player for about 6-7 weeks now, Ken, who I knew not much about. I saw him last season, but we were heavily linked with him. And I've been watching him as much as I can. And I like what I see. Bissouma. This kid looks like he's got the real sort of potential to be something really good in this league. And we've been heavily linked with him. Do you think that is a signing that could slot next to Thomas Partey and bring us that kind of energy, but also that kind of tenacious sort of bull terrier at your ankles type player?
Well, the thing about it is that we thought we had that with Lucas Torreira. In terms of, like, we were very pleased with him that he was this technically, we thought he was okay. We thought he was going to be the DM and he's going to make those sort of tackles. But I think the lad probably wanted more to his game. But I think in Bissouma, he's a player that, potentially is going to be very good for us. But I look at Bissouma and I thought, right, there's someone better than Bazuma who's probably, arguably at the moment, better than Partey. I look at Ndidi and I think, well, I want him instead of Bazuma. I know Bazuma's playing really well, playing out his skin, and he's trying to emulate what we see from Conte. The free lungs, a tackler, someone who can protect his defence, but also someone could give us some energy from both sides of the pitch. He's trying to do that. I'd like to see more goals from him. If you don't, you know what I mean? Because we do see the odd goal from not so much from Partey, but from Conte. But in terms of that, that would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal Football Club. And there's no doubt, if we don't get him, Man United and Liverpool will.
Yeah,
because that's something that they're missing.
I totally agree, and I think that position there is more important, believe it or not, and it might be an unpopular opinion, is more important than our creative midfielder, because I think that we are always going to be stuck with the Granit Xhakas or real nennies of this world otherwise, and I think we need to move on from them. As much as Granit Xhaka has been great, he has been, the last 3 games, he's been absolutely superb. I'm just waiting for the day where he mucks up, because I know it's going to happen, and I need players that aren't going to make the same mistakes week in, week out, year in, year out. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing about Granit as well, you've got to realise one thing, right, is that Granit's relationship with the fans is over now. Forget it, okay? All this stuff about him wanting to say sorry, forget it. It's not going to happen. As far as he's concerned, he has no time for me, you, or any other fan. We cost him the captaincy, as far as he's concerned. Not only did we cost him the captaincy, we collectively made his life hell under Unai Emery, and then certain people took it at another level when they insulted his family. So he's got no love for the club. He's just playing his football and trying to enjoy his football as best he can. There's no doubt he's probably thinking, right, I've given this club everything, but I've had enough now. I'm going to want to go to, maybe Germany, Italy, or a slow-paced league where maybe go to a club where I'm more appreciated. So you're going to get your way one way or another, maybe the season after that, because it's not a long term with Granit. So, no. But I do agree with you. I want better than Granit. I know Granit's going well. I like what Granit can give us. I like the fact that Granit's intelligent, that when Saka goes walkies, he goes at the left back. I like the fact that he helps out defence and blah, blah. But the problem is that we're only seeing it now. We should have been seeing that from day one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
game
100%.
Now, that could have been because of Arsene Wenger, he's sort of go out and play mentality and go out and enjoy yourselves. I don't need to teach you how to play football because you're good players. The Liverpool mantra under Bob Paisley, where, Graham Souness, Johnny Barnes, you ask them, they'll say that they never talked about tactics. They just, in training, it was just 5-a-sides, good players, showed the intensity, took it into a match, and they all worked it out themselves. That's how Wenger managed. A lot of the old so-called great coaches managers, but now it's a Blackpool managers, and I think that's what Granit was missing from his time. And also Unai Emery tried to be a Blackpool manager, but you've got like pork chops, like or dare I say bad eggs, who have now left the football club, frankly, who undermined the manager and made his time at the football club untenable after Baku. But in terms of what you're saying, Granit, not long term for me.
No, and I totally 100% agree with the Granit Xhaka situation. Let's bring it back to Arteta, Kenny, because myself and both of us really have not been 100% convinced by the manager of what we're seeing on the pitch. But it looks like the board and the owners and a certain amount of the fan base are willing to back this guy. So whether we want him here or not, it looks like he's here to stay. So I look at what I saw in the transfer window, okay, and it pleases me. And I'm not talking about it being an exceptional window like some people were saying. It was like a 10 out of 10 window, because I think we all wanted to see somebody incoming. We got Martin Ødegaard and we got Matt Ryan, who looked to be 2 okay signings. But the main thing for me was the outgoings, the Mesut Ozils, the Sokratis, the Kolasinac and the Mustafi. Is that positive for you to see that Arteta is kind of on the same wavelength as the fans in terms of them not being a part of the process and some of the others keeping them in the process? Did you make of it as a good window?
Well, you look at it this way. For a lot of fans, it's a great window because a lot of these players are much maligned, and if they're not much maligned, they divide opinion. And that one player is still lamented by the football club. They still, the player we're talking about, they're still how do I say it, a caucus of fans who feel that there was some sort of injustice done for him, that he was not retained because of non-footballing reasons. They still hang by that, which is So they're coming out all sorts of fiction and, like scripts from Walt Disney to support their opinion. But in terms of what Mikel's done in letting these guys go, people like myself said, "What took you so long, mate?" It was blatantly obvious when Unai was at the club that these lot had to go. It was so obvious when Mikel took over, last December, that this had to happen. And one of the issues I had with Mikel is that this, and everyone in football knows the situation. What Mikel did, which I disagreed with, is he tried to change them, tried to get them to come to the party and blah, blah, and wasted valuable time. People,
Yeah, I agree.
Arsenal fans generally believe, and who am I to tell them how to support their football club? I don't pay for their season tickets. I don't even pay for the merchandise. I can't afford to do it. And I certainly don't want them to pay for my season ticket, even if they offer me to do things to earn my keep. I'm not going to ask them. That's not going to happen. All I'm trying to say with Mikel, in terms of what he's done, by keeping these players for most of his reign, he's wasted valuable time. He's wasted a year and a half. Not only that, the process that everyone seems to talk about, people need to rewire their thought process. Stop talking about this process being Mikel's thought process and look at the bigger picture. We wanted Arsene Wenger out of the football club because he wasn't challenged for the title. The board sacked Arsene Wenger because of two things: because of non-attendance by fans, and because we were out of the Champions League for the second season in succession. So the process started in April 2018, which means it's not Mikel's process. It wasn't Unai's process. It's the process, i.e. project re-entry back into the Champions League. Project re-entry back in the big time, challenging. That started in April 2018. Now, someone like myself and you who are not sure about Arteta, right, I'm not going to join into the cavalry of people saying, "Well done, great window, got rid of the dead wood." We wanted that done before, because if he did that then, like a big manager had done, then we may have seen the fruits of his labour. We may be challenging because West Ham are doing it, right? They're challenged for the top four mathematically, and they're winning games. Our rivals, who we laugh at, are still annoyingly above us. Just think about the time wasted. All right, you can't cry over spilt milk, but that is where people like myself are thinking, well, we're not convinced about his methods and about his man management and his judgment. But he's got until May, right, to turn us around. But you've got to realise right now, we're in a results business. I ask all Arsenal fans this question all the time, and they never give me a definitive answer, because I understand the situation. That, why look forward and expect the worst? But is it a successful season if we don't win a trophy and we finish below 8th next season? That is the question that you're going to ask, I'm going to ask. Obviously, people are still behind me, Colin, but you always know that in football and in life, especially politics, you have people who sit on the fence. You have floating voters, right? The floating voters might turn if they don't count, getting rid of Ozil, Mustafi, Socrates, getting in Partey as progress if we don't finish getting to Europe and finish below 8th place. That's all I'm saying. I'm not the bad guy here.
And do you know what?
Facts.
I think you're spot on. And do you know, I'm going to bring this comment in. We've got a Man United fan watching this here, and he's saying, what counts for Arsenal and Mikel as progress, considering you have been told to trust the process? I think that's a great question. And the reason I say that, I'm going to ask you this, Ken. There's a lot of talk about Arsenal's season. Unai Emery was sacked because we weren't going to get anywhere near top four, it didn't seem like. So when it comes to us not looking like we're going to get anywhere near top four this season, surely it looks bad news for Mikel Arteta. So what, looking at this table now, would be, or this season now, should I say, would be success for Arsenal, Ken?
Well, the thing is, right, I know I come out with a lot of analogies, right? We've got 16 football matches, but I'll tell you one thing, they're more important than football matches. We're going to war 16 times. We're going to war. We're going into battle, all right? You look at that table and you look at the situation. Teams, everyone's beating each other. The team that stays most consistent in the next 16 games, from our position all the way up to probably third, good things will happen for them. we have to believe and not be perturbed by the opposition we're going to play. Yes, we've got Aston Villa, but Aston Villa got turned over by West Ham. They've got a lot of ball players in their side, but they don't have a DM and a crusher. We've got crushers. Then we've got Leicester, who we've got to beat. We've got to play Tottenham. We've got to play Man City. We've got to play Liverpool, who may be going for the title of Europe as well. So we've got to think about these bigger pictures. This is the test of the process, right? No excuses. Last week when I was on your show, I got shouted down by excuses. Oh, well, we're not going to get top 4. We can't get top 6 because Leicester's got a better squad than us. Man United's got a better squad than us. Oh, excuses. No, we're going to war, all right? We still got a chance mathematically. I don't personally, if you ask me off camera, do you think we could do it? Maybe not. But I'm going to battle tomorrow, expecting and demanding and bleeding for a win. And that's how we've got to look at it. If we're playing well and people think that we've got this new system where everyone knows their jobs and we've got less square pegs round holes, then what we need to do is think positively and let's see what it can take us. Yes, I'm going to be mad and kicking the cat, want to kill you as well if we lose. But the end of the day, I still bleed for that win. I'm still not giving up this season. I don't think it's going to happen. But whilst we're playing well, and whilst we've got players who can hurt the opposition, let's see where it takes us. Really do.
I mean, that's spot on. Listen, I don't have the faith that we're going to get in the top 4. I don't think we've got consistency, and I don't think we've got the squad that's particularly strong enough with a couple of injuries because we're bringing in the Willians and stuff like that. However, of course, we've got to try and win as many games as possible. My only thing was this, Ken. Europa League, okay? Would you rather win the Europa League and have something to show for coming into the Champions League with a trophy, or would you rather just come top 4? Because I don't understand this mentality of just getting in the top 4, because 4th place doesn't win you anything at all. It gives you a Champions League spot, which is what the Europa League does, but you have a trophy and you're European champion. Surely you would rather win the Europa League and the trophy and come 8th or 9th or whatever it be than just come 4th. I would rather win a trophy because it's all about trophies for me. Otherwise, why are we laughing at Spurs for not winning them? That's their mentality.
Right, I do make you right that trophies is very much, but we've won trophies. We've won the FA Cup since 2014. We won it 4 times. We're the record FA Cup holders. We've been in a final every year since 2017. But the thing is that whether you like it or not, in order to garner your progress and feel like you could challenge for that league, you have to do well in the league. You have to get someone like top 4 because obviously the top 4, it gives you enough money to spend on players. Let's face it, we've got no crowds, right? And we're probably not going to get crowds for much of next season. So what we're going to need is the money and the TV money and advertising that Champions League brings us. And because we can't rely on the TV deal or sponsorship deals because they've already paid us until we renegotiate, and who knows, maybe crowds will come back. And so what we're looking at now is to try and get Champions League across. Let's face it, right? They're trying to revamp the Champions League in 2024. Why are they revamping the Champions League? Because Arsenal, AC Milan, and clubs like Man United are not in it consistently as they have before because they don't want us to go and form a Europa League. A European Super League. Now, let me tell you something now. Everyone at Arsenal, behind that 4 walls, want a European Super League because it gives you £310 million. All right? Don't believe all this, we want to bet English football. And you think Liverpool and Man United are playing for this. They're all at it. So, getting as high as you can in the league is more important financially to the club. But for me, in the glory, I haven't seen us win a European trophy since Copenhagen. So, I want the glory. And I know I want Champions League football. And I want to go in the Champions League because I know there's a lot of fans going, what are you getting the Champions League for? We're crap in there. We're not going to win it. What sort of attitude is that?
Awful. You want to compete with the best.
I want to compete with the best. I want Arsenal to go to the Allianz Arena and believe they can win there. Because in Bayern Munich, you don't just let Bayern Munich come and beat you. You think I'm having Leipzig, a bloody drinks company, playing the Champions League instead of my boys? Nah, I can't stomach that. I've been stomaching that for a long time. So what we need to do
is that if we get in the top four, that's fantastic. But I don't want no shadow boxing, right? Shadow boxing is something I do in a mirror when I'm having a fight with the next door neighbour in me head, or having a fight because someone on Twitter called me a pork chop. That's shadow boxing. The real stuff is getting amongst it and having a go. Don't just make up the numbers like we did on the RSN and getting only one final, one semi-final. Let's have a go. You have to be in it to win it. And that's why top four or win a European trophy is brilliant for me. But in terms of the top four, you start at the top four and you go, it gives you that belief to think, right, we've got the top four. What's next after the top four? Challenge for the title and winning it. And that's why there's going to be 50-50 in terms of like what people think about the top four or win a trophy. You have to aim high and set your standards pretty higher, you know? At Arsenal, mediocre's done. It's done, right? The board have appointed the novice because that was their mediocre mindset, and they're building them up to something I think it's not. Well, go on and entertain me, Mikel. Show me what you're made of. Put those big words down my throat, and I swallow it. Okay? Shut me up, Mikel. That's all I want you to do. Shut me up.
I've been saying the same. Shut me up and tell me that you're playing a style, and he has. We're now starting to play a bit of a style. I hope it continues. I'm not getting excited yet, but I'm hoping that it continues. What I am doing, though, is enjoying our football, so long may it continue. Before we bring our Villa guest on, Ken, and start talking about the game at the weekend, do you think that we can, with this team, go all out in the Europa League and win?
Well, the thing about it is that you can't look too forward. It's the next game is Benfica. They've got great pedigree in Europe, and they haven't won a European trophy for a while, but they've got a bit closer. You know, the last time I remember in the Europa League final, they lost. Ivanovic scored a last-minute header in the 93rd minute for Chelsea. So they got pedigree, and they've got a reputation, and we have to get past that obstacle, and then we look at the last 16, and then we start worrying about, oh no, we're probably going to play Ajax, probably going to play Internazionale, and we're probably going to play Man United and Leicester. But let's not talk about that. Let's just think about Benfica. One game at a time. And remember, as I say, we're not playing football, we're going to war. So we're going to war against Benfica. Let's not think about the next sort of battles, you know. You have a bit of jungle wars like did in Vietnam. One war at a time.
Mate, I love it. Absolutely love it. And after this short ad break, we are going to introduce you to our Aston Villa friend and fan.
West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
It is my absolute pleasure to welcome back again Chris from Villa Together. Chris, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, good mate. About yourself?
Yeah, very good, man. Not too bad at all. Trying to, soak up as much as we can of this football, but this is a crazy, crazy season. Chris, please meet Kenny. Kenny, I don't know if you've met Chris before.
I don't know. Last time I saw Chris, he didn't seem too confident about Villa's chances, but I managed to try to see if I can avoid him after the 90 minutes of the Emirates, because I think we got absolutely bodied by them at the Emirates. And I think if they're playing to right now, I think they've scored their 10th goal by then.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. It was not a good night for Arsenal. But Kenny, I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to bring Chris in on a bit about Aston Villa, because for me, Aston Villa's summer was fantastic. The signings they got have clearly worked out well. Aston Villa are a good side. They're a good outfit now. And considering they only got was great kind of relegation fight last season, they're looking like a good side. Although of late, it's looked a little bit inconsistent. Ken, what do you make of this game coming up at the weekend against Villa, mate?
Well, the thing about Villa, I looked at their team that they played against West Ham, and I just saw players who were very good on the ball. I couldn't identify a DM or someone who was a crusher who could win that ball back. Yet West Ham had crushers who basically looked at, right, I'm going to mark him because he's their brain in this side. We're not going to give him any room. And what we're going to do is that on a turnover,
we're going to hit them and take them by surprise. And that's how it looked to me when I saw the game. I look at Aston Villa, all I see is players that I love watching. You know, people talk about Grealish, but they forget that McGinn's the actual brain of your team. And you've got Douglas Luiz, who's a good baller, but he tries to do that sort of that crusher, sort of DM work that I like. And then you've got players like Barkley, who gives you an extra dimension. You've got also El Ghazi, who a lot of you Villa fans are not, 50-50 about. And then you've got Watkins, who, finally got a striker. He put the ball in there. Grealish, we're already talking about. But the player, and you've got Cash at right back, who I like. But the player that always goes under the radar is Matt Targett. Because I look at it, Matt Targett was a menace at the Emirates. An absolute menace. Down that left-hand side, Matt Targett, Barkley, Grealish, and then Ollie Watkins outnumbering and sort of having two spare men against Rob Holding and Bayer in that our right-hand side, which I think Villa, if they try to attack that and play at the pace, that's where they can hurt us. But you also got a player that might not get a game in Traore as well, who, again, the penny's finally dropped in that respect. So from a purist point of view, I'm looking forward to the game. But I'm thinking, if we stop these teams from playing, with our pace on the turnover and our directness as well, I think that we've got a chance of getting suitable revenge.
Yeah, I agree, Ken. And Chris, I'm going to bring you in because Kenny's brought up some good points there about players that have been playing well for you this season. Obviously, Konza and Mings at the back have formed a good partnership, and we all know about Emi Martinez in goal. So what's been happening in the last few weeks, Chris? It's not been as good for you. A few strange results here and there. What's been going on?
Well, we've lost 4 of our last 6, which, on the face of it, you think, it's not great. I think if you look at it in isolation, 3 of those 4 defeats are against United, City, and then West Ham. So, the top 2 effectively, West Ham are having a good season as well, 5th in the league. The other one was against Burnley, which was a bit of a shocker, a bit of a surprise. It was really real game of 2 halves. But in all fairness, 2021, our form has been very indifferent. We've not been as good as we were last year, or certainly back end of last year. And I think you've got to take into consideration the COVID situation we had. So what was it, first, second week of January? 9 players, 5 staff members had COVID, and but by no stretch of imagination, I'm kind of blaming that because, in all fairness, a lot of the teams have outplayed us. But I think it has some impact in terms of our fatigue. We've looked completely out of sorts in terms of the running. I think perfect example when you look at our running would have been the game at the Emirates. Without the ball, we kind of set up like a 4-4-2. Barkley pushed up alongside Watkins, and we pressed your defence. And a lot of the time, you had to play the ball long. We won it back, and we were able to kind of get at you. We haven't done that so much recently. Barkley has come back into the side. He missed 7 games of injury. He's come back in. He looks certainly off the pace, quite a bit in all fairness. And we just think I think we're just struggling to find our rhythm a bit. But if it is, in all fairness, it's our first, blip, so to speak, of the season. And if that's the case, then so be it. We've had a great start. If we lose a few, we're losing against, like I said, 3 of the 4 defeats are against the top 6. 3 teams in the top 6. Then it is what it is. But it's going to be an interesting game, I think, tomorrow, because I think you guys certainly are playing a lot better. I watched the game against Wolves, and certainly until Luiz got sent off, you were the better team by far. So it's going to be interesting because I suppose we're not playing great football at the moment. We were pretty poor against West Ham. We were poor against Southampton, but got the 3 points anyway. And then obviously there was the Burnley game where it's ironic. It's probably the best football we played this year. First half we were brilliant, and then we just completely messed it up second half. So. I think it's going to be interesting just to see kind of what level both teams are at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it has been strange the last few games for Aston Villa. And it's probably a good time to play you. I just don't have the consistency with this Arsenal side to take the advantage of that at the moment. Ken, let's come to you. Jack Grealish, we've got to mention him. Absolutely outstanding footballer and one of the best in the league. I'd absolutely love to see him in an Arsenal shirt. I really would. I think he's absolutely top class. I don't have the confidence still, Kenny, that Bellerin and Holding are going to do anything different than what they did at the Emirates, because I thought they were both poor. The only saviour in front of them is that it's going to be Saka and not Willian. Do you think that we can try and keep Jack Grealish quiet, or is it going to be a case of trying to hack him to keep him quiet?
Well, I think what's happening is that obviously our right-hand side is still one of our weakest side in terms of teams attacking us. And I think, obviously before Villa it was Man City who actually identified that weakness. But if you look at the games, I think Bellerin, something's going into that brain where he's kind of holding his own. But what I haven't seen is overlaps and overloads. Now, I still have concerns that Villa are still going to have those sort of overloads. Whether they've got the confidence to try and do that because of what happened against West Ham, and whether their mindset is to think, let's just forget about what happened against West Ham. Arsenal's a different game. We've already turned them over. They play with confidence, get on the front foot. Then I've got grave concerns about how we're going to deal with that. Because, again, I see Rob Holding as a left-sided centre-half, or, dare I say it, in a back three. That's where he plays his best football. But his performances have improved, obviously since Chelsea, where, again, a penny is dropping for him, and positionally was as well. So that is where I think maybe we may hold our own there. But I'm not sort of going to put my house on saying that's going to happen, because I still look at Villa and I still think that's their best way of hurting us. In terms of Grealish, bloody hell, he's unplayable, isn't he? I mean, I shake his hand. I shake his hand, because he could have left you guys to go to Spurs when you're in the Championship, not winning playoff matches against Fulham. Sorry, mate, but for him to play for his hometown club, to get international recognition on his day, he could be playing in Spain for one. And Juventus, he can play for Juventus, Barcelona, Real Madrid, because that's the sort of player that they're looking for, someone who can get the ball, run, and dribble past players. You don't see many players like Jack, and I think, I don't think people like Mick McCarthy and Martin O'Neill will be too happy for switching sides, a la Declan Rice. But for England, it's fantastic, because we finally got someone who can actually run at teams from midfield, beat his man, and bring other players into play, not players who are technically good and look blah blah. It's all good, but personally, I like to bloody, send him a nice big plate of Chinese, put a bit of a sleeping tablet in it, and he doesn't play tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I'm exactly the same. Chris, I'm going to bring you in on this question, which is from Lee Catlow. Thanks for watching again, Lee, top man. Would Jack Grealish come to Arsenal? Intrigued to hear an Aston Villa point of view. Take the emotion out of it. If we put the money on the table and Villa go, we have to accept this, is Jack Grealish going to be happy to leave and come to Arsenal, do you think?
No.
Why do you think that is?
I think, what Kenny said, he could play for, some of the top sides. And, at Arsenal at that moment, just aren't there. And I suppose you look at it, two things at the moment. The league at the moment, how it is going to be. I know Arsenal, Premier League era, have obviously been much better than Aston Villa. They've got a history of success in the last, obviously not recently, but in the Premier League era, obviously titles, etc. But right now, you're looking at this season, obviously we're I think just above you in the league. There's not a massive difference between us in the league standings. You probably say on the face of things that we could probably end up finishing higher than you guys. But if it does, and then you look at it from the other side, if it does come down to money, I can't see Arsenal being a team that would pay what we would accept for Jack, because you're looking at
what would you expect, 80 to 100, something silly like that, or because he's English, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think you look at it from one of them. It's. I mean, you can look at it from the point of view as if you looked at him in isolation with, the kind of similar kind of players. As you say, like English attacking midfielders or English wide men. You're probably looking at he's probably worth at least 60 million. But then you take into everything else that the value of what he is to Aston Villa, then you'd certainly go closer to the 100 million mark. And I think, in all fairness, because of how important he is, he's our captain. He's also, he's gone up levels this season. He's shown that he can do it internationally against best team in the world. I think he's the third player this season in the league to reach double figures in terms of assists, behind Harry Kane and Kevin De Bruyne. Those two are, clearly two of the best players in the league. So for Jack to be up there in that company, it shows he is one of the best players in the league. So you'd be looking at least 100 million, I think. We've got two billionaire owners, so you're looking at, it would have to really, really be big. And again, if you look at the kind of, I suppose traditionally over the years, you look at the likes of, all the kind of good players we had in the late 90s, the players we had in the 2000s, and the Martin O'Neill who ended up leaving. But a big part of that would have been jumping ship to go and play in Europe, to go in and do bigger things, and probably financially as well. But I think the financial side, take that away from it, he could earn whatever he wanted to at Villa. I think the only thing that could push him to leave or could kind of sway the decision would be if he was going and knew that he was going to be playing maybe regular Champions League football. So I think realistically you'd be looking at the top boys if he was going to leave, because I think maybe last season he could have maybe thought, do you know what, I need to leave because I need to get in the England side, and it's not happening for Aston Villa. But obviously he's getting in England, not only getting in England's squad now, but he's getting in England, the England starting 11. And, he's shown that he can be one of the best players. I think pretty much every game he's played, he's been one of the better players on the pitch. So it's just that European football thing that he's kind of missing from his game at the moment. And I think you mentioned the other day, and there was an interview, and they were talking about expectations for the season. He said, I didn't expect us to be doing as well as we have been this season. I thought, we'd be kind of 14th, 15th in the league, and obviously we could still well finish there, but we've got the opportunity to push on and potentially finish well in the top half. And I think it seems like he's signed up to the long-term project, but we all know what footballers are like, and at the end of the day, money possibly does come into things. But I think these days it seems like Champions League football seems to be the big thing. So I think that's probably the main area where, if it was coming to leaving the club, where Arsenal would probably fall short.
Fair enough. Couple of comments I'm going to throw up here. If Partey signed for Arsenal, I'm sure Jack Grealish would. And Albert in the chat, big up Albert. He said, Chris, give us Jack Grealish and we'll give you Chakarel, Nenny and Guendouzi.
we had this conversation last night and it's not happening. I think you said you'd give us Willian and 10 million as well, but still not happening.
No, I don't think you'll want to swap deal with any of our players, that's for sure, unless it was a Thomas Partey or a Aubameyang on form, maybe. Kenny, let's come back to you and let's talk about this Arsenal team news before we move on to Aston Villa's. Ken, I have this nasty feeling that Aubameyang's going to play tomorrow. What do you reckon?
I'm against it. I'm really against it because, as I said at the start of the show, only 4 players can't play in your front three. And if you look at the way I want the team, I want Nicola Pepe to play on that left-hand side because I want someone who's going to be direct, who's going to run at run at Cash, and basically put crosses on a plate for Lacazette, which Nicola's capable of doing. I want Saka on that right-hand side because I want that change of pace, to run at the Villa defence, to keep them occupied. I want him to keep Matt Target occupied. I don't want Matt Target going right down our right hand side like he did the Emirates. So I want Saka to be in that sort of position. Lacazette holds the ball up. He's playing his best football for quite a while. He's scoring goals. One of the things you want from your centre forwards is the ability to hold on to the ball, the ability to pay you back the goal. Now Oba can't do that. Oba is not that sort of centre forward. Oba is a centre forward who can play on the left hand side where he's been very good for us, where he can ghost into the box from left hand side or surprise defenders by making late runs to the box and getting his tap-ins in. Unfortunately, we're not playing that way. We're not good enough. Teams have sussed us out. That the way we played to win the FA Cup and to win the Community Shield, oh yeah, let's put 10 men behind the ball and let's play a little out ball down the right-hand side, play a crossfield pass, Oba, he's on, comes out of nowhere, gets in his right foot, bang in the corner net. Teams have smelt that and extinguished that. So it's not slagging off Oba. It's just that I want more balance in my team. I'm not going to leave out Smith Rowe as well, who's basically changed the tempo of our attacks as well, where he gets the ball and we start playing and then with either a pass or when he runs the ball, the whole tempo comes. And you can see it, the thinking of our front three, right, he's got the ball, he's an accurate passer, let's run at that defence. He starts all that. No spec over, he's going to have to wait his turn, you know what I mean? We're in a results business, horses of courses. And right now, that horse isn't right for that course. There's going to be other wars, mate. We're going to war after Villa. Maybe the other wars and the other battles he can get in. But tomorrow, with the balance of the team and the continuity, Oba don't get a game for me.
I have to agree, and I think that Aubameyang needs to come back in at some point because of his quality, but he has been out of form. I think there's some mental problems there. Obviously, we heard about the illness of his mum, so I hope that he's in a better headspace now, and I do hope that he can push himself into this team. However, I don't think that we can change our front three at the moment. I think Pepe's proven that he can be a handful on the left. I think Lacazette has been infused by the introduction of Saka and Smith Rowe, and he's definitely finding some form again. Saka on that right gives us that balance which we so lacked and been so lopsided in the past, probably season, to be honest, on that right-hand side. And Smith Rowe has just been superb, and I think that he could be a potential Jack Grealish in the future. I think Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka will continue in centre midfield. I think that Gabriel will partner holding due to Luiz's suspension. I think that Bellerin will continue at right back and Cedric will be at left back. And I believe that the last 2 days, Matt Ryan has trained and he is fit. So Runnison will hopefully not be in goal. And I don't want to be harsh on the lad because he has only just come into the side and he's not, of course he's going to come to Arsenal from Dijon. But the last couple of games I've seen him, he's looked shaky. So Matt Ryan coming in as a signing, I think will be good enough to play now that Leno is out. So that's what I expect the team to be. I don't expect many shocks. However, it would not surprise me if Aubameyang goes and plays on that left-hand side ahead of Nicolas Pepe. I don't want to see it, but Mikel Arteta does do some strange things like that. In terms of team news for yourself, Chris, let's come to you. What is the Aston Villa team supposedly going to be, please, mate?
I mean, I say it's a tough one. There's probably a toss-up in a couple of areas. I think possibly because of how we played the other night against West Ham. Goalkeeper, back four will stay the same. So obviously Martinez in goal, Cash, Konza, Mings, Target. That'll be as it is. I think it's unlikely that Douglas Luiz will drop out because he's our only he's our only proper DM. He's our most progressive DM that we need to have in the side that allows us to play. Obviously, Jack Grealish will likely be on the left. El Ghazi was on the right on Wednesday, and he was pretty poor. So I imagine Traore will come in. The area I think that there could be changes is central midfield. We brought in Morgan Sanson from Marseille, who's a good footballer. Probably a bit too soon for him to start, in all fairness. But midfield recently, we've looked really, really poor. Slow, sluggish, poor in possession. The main thing is that the pressures haven't been there. We've not been putting teams under pressure as much as we used to. And you look at 2 of the West Ham goals. In all fairness, you could probably argue all 3 of the West Ham goals. Our midfield, you could put some blame to them, whether it be John McGinn not kind of getting back, Barkley not tracking his runners. And the ball just is coming straight it was coming straight back from Watkins through the middle. Probably will be McGinn and Barkley. It depends how we set up as well, because I think against West Ham we were more of a kind of a 4-3-3. So Douglas Luiz in front of the back four, McGinn and Barkley as 2 8s in front of him. Whereas what we've been playing prior to that was Luiz and McGinn sitting with Barkley as a 10, Grealish and Traore either side, Watkins up top. I think we might revert back to that. So Barkley's a 10, Grealish, Traore either side, McGinn dropping deeper, because we just see midfield has been poor this year, but we were just woeful the other night. And I just think But I just think he just needs to kind of get that balance back in terms of just offering more support for Watkins, and the only way we can do it really is Barkley. I imagine he's unlikely to drop Barkley. The other change could be no Barkley. Grealish goes back in as number 10, and Traore comes in on the left. El Ghazi comes in on the left, Traore on the right. Potential for Trezeguet as well. He's a good player. He played at the Emirates, and he helped stretch the play. In all fairness, and he started the season really well, but he's been injured for a while. So I don't expect too many changes because, in all fairness, we haven't had many changes this season. There's been a core 12, 13 players that we've used, and in all fairness, it has worked quite well. But I think there's sometimes if we rotated it a bit more, then we may have been able to kind of go to our bench a bit more often and use our squad depth. But I reckon that's what it'll be. So Martinez, Cash, Konza, Mings, Target, Louise and McGinn sitting, Barkley in front, Grealish, Traore either side, Watkins up top. That's what I reckon. I'll put my money on that.
Fair play. That's a good side as well, to be fair. There's going to be some players there that will certainly cause us some problems. And we've mentioned some of them. Chris, so I'll stay with you. Who do you think from that Arsenal team news is going to cause you some problems?
I think you'd have to kind of say Saka. He's obviously good form. I think he got 4 in his last 7, possibly. He's adding goals to his game. He's a good player. I've always rated him. I think I said this last night with Albert and some of the guys. I think the key thing for Saka is that what Arteta's done is he's found the best position for him. Obviously, when he came through, he's probably a bit more of a left back or a left wing back. Obviously, more higher up the pitch as a winger, it probably suits him. I think coming off the right as well suits him better. So he's going to be a threat. I think coming up against Matt Target, so that pace getting in behind. Smith Rowe's played quite well as well, so it depends how he plays, because I think looking at our midfield, especially the other night, we're just lacking something. I think if he can kind of pick up some pockets of space and maybe take advantage of the poor work rate and the possible fatigue in the middle, he could do a job, in all fairness. So I'd probably say those two. I suppose Partey playing as well could make a difference, in that midfield, with our guys not playing well. But yeah, I reckon it's kind of going to be in the middle or out wide. For either side is going to be the key battles, in all fairness. Obviously could be Grealish or Saka, and in the midfield, it could be maybe Barkley, Smith Rowe or Partey that could turn up and kind of change the game.
Before I come to the last couple of questions and a prediction between you both, I want to ask you this. This is a great question from Don Arsenal. Chris, would you swap Grealish for Bukayo Saka?
No. I like Saka. I really like him. I rate him as a player, but he's nowhere near level that Grealish is. I mean, obviously Saka's done it. He's only doing it, it's his first season, second season, is it? It's his first full season. He's playing well, but, Grealish has done it for a number of years. Obviously, I know he had a few seasons in the Championship, but no, sorry.
Fair play. Ken, let's come to you. How do we beat this Aston Villa side, mate? Because the first half against Wolves, they were poor Wolves, don't get me wrong, but we were absolutely brilliant to watch. So I believe an early goal will start to kick the nerves for Aston Villa. We might be able to go all the way. And we get through past this team with 3 points, Ken?
First thing to do, we've got to start on the front foot. The tempo has to be very high, and we have to be disruptors. In order to win the football match, we have to win the midfield and win it pretty easily, because once we get past that midfield, we've got to be able to run at them and put pressure on their back four. If we can do that constantly and play at the high pace that we played against Wolves, then I think we could take the game away from Villa in the first 45 minutes. But that's if we put our chances away. If we let Villa get on the front foot, then it's going to be a long day for us. We could reclaim that and back. It's really, really hard. We've had a good look at Villa. We know what they're good at and what they can do. But what are they like when teams start on the front foot of them? Because I've seen a lot of teams start slowly against them, and that has in turn been to their opposition's detriments. I still don't know how Villa lost against Burnley. I don't know. I still scratch my head and saying a team Aston Villa played so in that first half at Turf Moor, for them to lose is something that I don't know, man. You'll have to watch the game 3 or 4 times to convince yourself that Villa lost that game. But what Burnley did wrong in that first half was let Villa get on that front foot and let Grealish get on the ball and enjoy himself. We can't let that happen. We let Grealish enjoy himself, and Watkins has got his shooting boots on, and McGinn's looking at bigger picture, using the brain that he has in terms of being Villa's brain. We could suffer greatly, so we have to stop them from playing.
I think we do indeed. Matthew De Souza has said, Dan, sorry if you've touched on this already, but who'll be our centre-backs tomorrow? Pablo Maria is back in training and David Luiz is suspended. I think it will be Gabriel and Holding, personally. Chris, let's come to you quickly. How do you think you will try to take 3 points from us? Because that's what obviously you're going to try and go for tomorrow. What do you see happening?
I think we need to... I think Kenny's bang on, in all fairness, that it happened against West Ham. We played on the back foot for some reason. We kind of allowed West Ham to play on the front foot, and they just came at us. And I think how we set up invited that pressure on, with Barkley playing a bit deeper, and it wasn't good. So I think we have to play on the front foot. So that would mean pushing Barkley up a bit higher and just get those pressures up. Just kind of do what we've done all season. What we did at the Emirates was play higher. Kind of have the confidence in the defenders and the guys just in front to break up play when need be. Because I think at the Emirates, Louise, McGinn did well, and if it got past them, Konza and Mings had good games. Just kind of almost have the confidence in our ability. I don't know what it was against West Ham, whether we were scared of them, so we sat a bit deeper. But we need to play on the front foot, push forward. Against West Ham, for some reason, it was like last season in terms of no one knew what to do if they couldn't give the ball to Jack Grealish. It was like we're scared. Whereas in other games, sometimes you've got John McGinn, you've got Ross Barkley. They'll take it on themselves and think, what, I'm the man. We don't need Jack, I'm the man. Whereas against West Ham, it was like, oh, what do we need to pass it to Jack Grealish? And obviously, he can't. A lot of the time he does it, he can't do it on his own. So I think the other guys just need to step up, need to be much more progressive. And as Sunday League as it is, we've got to put the work in. We really have got to work hard. I think, especially you said, Dan, the team that we're likely to play is a decent side, on paper, and those players have all played well this season. So if we put the work in, we've got the quality there to get 3 points. It's going to be a tough one, I think. As we've said, I think someone mentioned in the comments Grealish against Hector Bellerin. That's going to be a key battle. It's same as what I mentioned before, Saka against Target as well. So it's going to be interesting. I think he's going to be key to who can get into the game earliest. I think obviously who takes the advantage, who gets forward first. Because if you guys put the pressure on us the way we've been recently, we could kind of crumble. But I'm hoping it's going to be the other way around.
Fair play. I think me and Kenny have probably answered this question, because I think both of us would take Jack Grealish from your side, and I'll come to Kenny to make sure that is the case. But Chris, if you could pick one current Arsenal player on form to put into that Villa side, who would you go with?
Well, that's a tough one, that is. On form, I suppose, makes it a bit tougher. I suppose naturally you'd probably say Aubameyang. Obviously, he's not having a great season. I'd have to say Saka. I just think him on the right, Grealish on the left. Good combination going forward. I think it would be really good, and I think those guys would link up well. So yeah, I'd have Saka, because he's playing so well. He's in good form.
Fair play. I'm going with Jack Grealish. Kenny, what about yourself? One Aston Villa player to pick in this Arsenal side. Would you go Grealish or someone else?
Well, the obvious one is Jack Grealish, because of the things that the way I built him up to say he could play Spain and Italy. But for me, if I was to look at, there's something about Ollie Watkins. There's something about his pace. There's something about his ability to play with his back to goal and to work hard in the channels and score goals. There's something about him. I'm thinking, you know what? The devil in me thinks, if, something happens to, Laka, and he decides that he wants to go play for Atletico Madrid, why not? Why doesn't the Arsenal fan come to his club of his birth You know, I know he's from like the southwest and Exeter and all those, you know, that area. But he's an Arsenal fan. Come home, son.
There we go. Can you hear it here, Ollie Watkins? You've heard it from Kenny Ken. Come home. I must say, someone's put something in the chat, which I actually saw, that Ian Wright was interviewing Saka, and Saka said that while on England duty, Jack Grealish was the best player by far, and they are very close. Just saying, Chris. They're very, very close.
See, there you go.
We're going to go around and do predictions. Kenny, we're going to start with you. What do you think the score is going to be tomorrow, my friend?
We start fast. We win 3-1.
Okay, let's hope that's very optimistic, but I would take that 100%. Chris, what do you reckon, mate?
I think I said it last night. I got a feeling 2-0.
To you or to Arsenal?
2-0 to Villa. Yeah, I think being at home, probably. I think Dean Smith and the guys would have given him a kick up the backside after the West Ham game. I think we'll get back to winning ways. 2-0.
Fair enough. That leaves me. Okay, I'm going to say this now. The Wolves' defeat is going to have affected us massively, and we have shifted the mentality with the transfer window. We've got rid of the Kolasinaks, the Mustafis, the Socrates, the Özil, and I want to see now the mentality of this squad. And I think we're going to bounce back from the defeat at Wolves because we're going to be angry about the way that we lost that game. And I think we're going to nick it 2-1. It's going to be hard. I think Jack Grealish is going to give Bellerin and Holding a torrid time as he did at the Emirates. But I fancy us to nick this one because I think we're going to try and keep it as tight as we can because we know what Villa can do. They're a great side this season. They're a great outfit. But their form hasn't been great. It's probably a good time to beat them. I just want to see this side come out and show us what they've got. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to the Arsenal. Chris, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you back on, mate, and we'll always welcome you on this channel. How can people follow you, mate?
Nice one, Dan. Anytime. You know me. You know I enjoy coming on your channel. Twitter and Instagram, we're at Villa Together. You can find us on YouTube if you search Villa Together podcast. And we're also, you can listen to our podcasts via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the usual podcast providers.
Great stuff, Chris, and thank you once more for coming on. And thank you, Kenny. Kenny, listen, I love having you on the channel, man. It's absolute pleasure as always. And you've sorted your Wi-Fi out. You've stayed on. There's been no problems, no drama.
Don't say that. Someone's paying for me Wi-Fi, so I want that. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on one condition. I did not approach Jose Mourinho last season. I may have wanted him at Arsenal manager, but Arsenal Football Club invited him as their guest of honour to Europa League matches and made an offer to Jose to become my manager if, in the event of Unai Emery sacking. But the reason why I didn't come off because Spurs got there first. You want to have a go at someone, have a go at Vinay. Go to America and have a go at Josh. If you want to have a go at anyone else, go at Rao. I know we've sacked him, but have a go at him anyway and take your frustrations out on him, not me.
Kenny, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for coming on, man, and I will see you next time. Guys in the chat, thank you all so much. Over 200 of you watching at one point tonight. Thanks all so much. I'd be very, very much appreciated if you can like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Please like this channel. We are trying to grow it as much as possible. I hope you enjoyed the content, and we'll be back Mondays and Fridays, and we will see you next time. Up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.